Good afternoon. A month ago, I had to go to the hospital for a medical test, and I'm happy to report that everything was normal and fine, but I didn't know that when I went in for the test. And because it takes forever to get these things scheduled, this means I had a couple of weeks of anxiety and worry as I stewed over the possibility that maybe what I was dealing with was something very serious. Now, I would like to be able to say that I spent those 2 weeks in prayer, bringing my situation and my concern to the Lord. But I have to confess that is not what I did. Until, that is, I was actually walking down the hospital corridor on the way to the office for my exam. And then I finally remembered, and I asked God to be with me. So I got to the office and I registered, and then I sat down in the waiting area, and I noticed another man in the waiting area staring at me. I said hello to him, but I got no response except for him continuing to stare at me. Now, as you can imagine, this got a bit unnerving. I tried to ignore him by playing with my phone or looking at the pamphlets that were laying around in the waiting area, and when I would look up, he was still staring at me. Now, it was hard to read his facial expression because he was wearing a mask, but after a bit, I could tell that he was smiling at me. Oh, every now and then he broke his gaze to look at the cooking show that was on the TV in the waiting area, but it wouldn't be long until he was back to staring at me and smiling at me. Now, there were other people in the waiting area, but I was the only one he was looking at. After a while, I realized what was happening. This man was an answer to my prayer. I understood that God had sent him to provide me with the assurance and to let me know that he was with me, that he was there, that God was watching me and smiling over me, just like this mysterious gentleman. As I realized this, I was no longer unnerved or weirded out by this man who wouldn't stop looking at me. I could smile back, and I could feel the love and kindness he was offering. And through him, I was able to receive what God was offering to me as well at that time of anxiety. I realized that this man was an angel that God had sent to me. The word angel literally means messenger, but an angel doesn't necessarily have to be a heavenly being the way we typically understand angels to be. Oh, to be sure, these spiritual beings that we call angels do exist. The Bible is very clear on that. Although, by the way, as the Old Testament describes angels, they probably look a little bit more like snakes with wings than little cupids. Hebrews chapter 13 says, "Do not forget to show hospitality to strangers, for by so doing, some people have shown hospitality to angels without knowing it." At times, this Bible passage may mean what we typically understand it to mean, that there are spiritual beings among us without us realizing that. But sometimes, this might mean something different. At times, God sends people into our lives at the exact moment we need them. And they carry God's message to us in the words that they speak, in the actions they do, or in my case, in that hospital waiting room, just simply by being there. So I encourage you, keep your eyes open, be on the watch. Pay attention to the angels that God is sending into your life at the exact times you need them. At the times when you need to know that God is there with you and God is there for you. I also invite you to pay attention to something else as well. There may very well be times when you are an angel, when you are a messenger from God for someone else. And most likely, you're going to be an angel without realizing that that's who you are. But what you say, what you do, or maybe just you being there in the same space, can bring God's love, power, and challenge, and peace to a person who needs to receive it. Would you pray with me? Lord, I'm grateful for that man that you sent into that hospital waiting room and the message of assurance that you sent to me through him. Help us each to pay attention to the angels all around us, to the people that are bringing us the message of your love and your power, your challenge that we need to hear. And open our spirits, Lord, so that we can respond to your leading in order to be messengers or angels ourselves. Amen. Thanks for joining me. We'll talk again later.